Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Gnanatimirandasya Gnanandana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, 15.16. Dvavimau Purusho Loke Ksharashchakshara Eva Cha Kshara Sarvani Bhutani Kutastokshara Uchate. The two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. And so this is Chuta Achuta. Chuta means falling. Achuta means one who doesn't fall. So here is Kshara Akshara. As already explained, the Lord in his incarnation as Vyasadeva compiled the Vedanta Sutra. Here the Lord is giving in summary the contents of the Vedanta Sutra. He says that the living entities who are innumerable can be divided into two classes, the fallible and the infallible. The living entities are eternally separated parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When they're in contact with the material world, they're called Jiva Bhuta. And the Sanskrit words given here, Shara Sarvani Bhutani, mean that they are fallible. Those who are in oneness with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, are called infallible. Oneness does not mean that they have no individuality, but that there is no disunity. So this is very important, this word, disunity. Disunity means those who do whatever the Lord wants are in unity, unison with Him. Right? Like unity means when every people have same thought process, they want to follow same thing, they do everything together. That is unity. So when the individual jiva does what the Lord wants him to do, that is unity. They're all agreeable to the purpose of the creation. What is the purpose of creation? Is to rectify and go back home, back to Godhead. So they're agreeable, meaning they will work towards it. They're not going to oppose it. They will work along these lines, meaning they will conduct their life such that they can please Krishna and go back to Krishna, please Him. Of course, in the spiritual world, there is no such thing as creation, but since the Supreme Lord, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, is the source of all emanations, that conception is explained. According to the statement of the Supreme Person of Godhead, Lord Krishna, there are two classes of living beings. Vedas give evidence of this, so there is no doubt about it. The living entities who are struggling in this world with the mind and five senses have their material bodies, which are changing. As long as living entity is conditioned, his body changes due to contact with matter. Body changes due to contact with matter, because body is made of matter. Matter is changing, so the living entity appears to be changing. The living entity is not changing, only the body is changing. But in the spiritual world, the body is not made of matter, so therefore there is no change. In the material world, the living entity undergoes 6 changes: birth, growth, duration, reproduction, dwindling, and vanishing. These are changes of the material body, but in the spiritual world, the body does not change. There's no old age, there's no birth, there's no death. They all exist in oneness. Sarvani Bhutani, any living entity who has come in contact with matter, beginning from the first created being Brahma, down to small ant, is changing its body. Therefore, they're all fallible. In spiritual world, however, they're always liberated in oneness. Fallible means basically they'll fall from this position of oneness, right? Because they want to enjoy independent of Krishna. So they'll fall from their position. In the spiritual world, they've fallen from their position. Spiritual world, they won't fall. Of course, people like us fall from there and then continue to fall here. But generally, they're liberated in the spiritual world, which means that they act in oneness with the Lord, do what He wants. So when in this material world, we also act in oneness, meaning we act to please Krishna, then that is liberated life. Uttama purushastvanyah parmatmetyudahratah yo lokatrayamavishya vivartyavyaya ishvaraha. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul. And besides these two, meaning besides the spiritual living entities in spiritual world, living entities in material world. There is the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. The idea of this verse is very clear, is very nicely expressed in the Katha and Shvetashvatara Upanishad. It is clearly stated there that above the innumerable living entities, some of whom are conditioned, some of whom are liberated, there is a Supreme Personality who is Paramatma. The Upanishadic verse runs as follows: Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. Purport is that amongst all the living entities, both conditioned and liberated, there is one Supreme Living Personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who maintains them and gives them all the facility of enjoyment according to different works. So this we already saw. Sarvasya Sannivishta in that verse. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. A wise man who can understand him is eligible to attain peace, perfect peace, not others. Because everything is being, he is the one who is giving intelligence, remembrance, forgetfulness. He's the overseer, he's the permitter. So everything within this material world is actually happening under his jurisdiction, under his control. A wise man who can understand him is eligible to attain perfect peace. So this is the last verse of the 5th chapter. Bhoktanam yagnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram hridam sarvabhutanam gnatva mam shantim richati. The one who knows that verse, he attains perfect peace. Bhoktaram yagnatapasam. He is the Bhoktra. He is the enjoyer, not me. Sarvaloka maheshwaram. He is the Ishvara of all lokas. Hridam, he is also my friend and well-wisher. So I don't have to worry. So he's powerful. He's the enjoyer. He's the powerful. He's the enjoyer. He's my friend. So I don't have to worry. That person attains perfect peace, not other. Yasmat ksharam matitoham aksharad api chottamaha atosmi loke vedecha pratitah purushottamaha. Because I'm transcendental beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I'm celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. So Krishna is so clearly saying what his position, but still people don't want to believe. No one can surpass the Supreme Person of Godhead, Krishna, neither the conditioned nor the liberated soul. He is therefore the greatest of personalities. Now it is clear here that the living entities and Supreme Person of Godhead are individuals. The difference is that the living entities, either in the conditioned state or in the liberated state, cannot surpass in quantity the inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Lord. It is incorrect to think that the Supreme Lord and the living entities as being on the same level or equal in all respects. There is always the question of superiority and inferiority between their personalities. The word Uttama is very significant. No one can surpass the Supreme Person of Godhead. It's clear. So we are inferior, he is superior. The word Loke signifies in the Paurusha Agama, Smriti scriptures, as confirmed in the Nirukti dictionary. Lokyate Vedartho Nena. Purpose of the Vedas is explained by the Smriti scriptures. The Supreme Lord in his localized aspect of Paramatma is also described in the Vedas themselves. The following verse appears in Vedas, Chandogya Upanishad. The super soul coming out of the body enters the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Then in his form, he remains in his spiritual identity. That Supreme is called Supreme Personality. Super soul coming out of the body. Out of the body, material body, enters the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Then in his form, he remains in his spiritual identity. That Supreme is called Supreme Personality. So here they're saying that the super soul is, he enters into the Brahma Jyoti. So super soul actually doesn't enter the spiritual world because there's no role for Paramatma in the spiritual world, as in the spiritual planets. This means that the Supreme Personality is exhibiting and diffusing his spiritual effulgence, which is ultimate illumination. Supreme Personality also has a localized aspect as Paramatma. By incarnating himself as the son of Satyavati and Parashara, he explains the Vedic knowledge as Vyasadeva. So this Supreme Personality is exhibiting and diffusing his spiritual effulgence. And diffusing meaning distributing. And this is the ultimate illumination. So this is the Brahma Jyoti. And he's also present as Paramatma. And he also incarnates himself. And here the Prabhupada is talking about Vyasadeva as one of his incarnations. The basic point is Paramatma is there. He's the Supreme Personality. All are individuals. And ultimately, one has to come to the Supreme Lord himself, who is a person.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Mm,
Sorry to interrupt. So
mm,
in the previous one, you told Paramatma has no role in spiritual world and neither
yeah.
does Brahmajyoti. So
Mm,
the Paramatma in which will be in the living entities, that is limited only for material creation.
correct. Correct.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah. 15.19. Yo mam evam asammudho janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Person of Godhead without doubting. See, this is important. Without doubting. Is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me. Without doubting means full faith. Full faith also. There are many philosophical speculations about the constitutional position of the living entities and the supreme absolute truth. Now, in this verse, the Supreme Person of Godhead clearly explains that anyone who knows Lord Krishna to be the Supreme Person is actually the knower of everything. The imperfect knower goes on simply speculating about the absolute truth. And the perfect knower, without wasting his valuable time, engages directly in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Throughout the whole of Bhagavad Gita, this fact is being stressed at every step. And still, there are so many stubborn commentators on Bhagavad Gita who consider the supreme absolute truth and the living entities to be one and the same. Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, learning by oral reception. One should actually receive the Vedic message from authorities like Krishna and his representatives. Here, Krishna distinguishes everything very nicely, and one should hear from this source. Simply to hear like the hogs is not sufficient. Is not sufficient. One must be able to understand from the authorities. It is not that one should simply speculate academically. Prabhupada is like very, very angry. One should submissively hear from Bhagavad Gita that these living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Person of Godhead. Anyone who is able to understand this according to Supreme Person of Godhead Krishna knows the purpose of Vedas. No one else knows the purpose of Vedas. So we have to understand this. So Prabhupada is saying, why are people going behind? And so simply speculating academically, they don't want to accept Krishna's words. So you have to hear submissively, then you can understand. Otherwise, you can't understand. The word bhajati is very significant. In many places, the word bhajati is expressed in relationship with service to the Supreme Lord. So bhajanti, bhajati, doesn't mean that just singing songs. Right? Actually, bhajati means serving. If a person is engaged in full Krishna consciousness in the devotional service, that's why Prabhupada called it bhakti seva, service. It is to be understood that he has understood all Vedic knowledge. In the Vaishnava Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the supreme absolute truth. He has already come to the point because he is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. So we don't have to do anything else. We have to have full faith that by doing bhakti, everything is accomplished. He has ended all preliminary processes of understanding. But if anyone, after speculating for hundreds of thousands of lives, does not come to the point that Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead and that one has to surrender there, all his speculation for so many years and lives is a useless waste of time. So Prabhupada is just hammering on these, Mayavadis, Nirakarvadis, um, because one has to come to pure devotional, full devotional service. Right? Otherwise, there's no point. You're just wasting your life. Don't simply speculate. Don't doubt. Don't doubt. So this is what the focus of the purport is. Don't doubt. Just accept him. Do full devotional service to him. Iti guhyatamam shastram idam muktam maya nagha etad buddhva buddhiman syat kritakrityascha bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures. So from this one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands it will become wise and his endeavors will know perfection. The Lord clearly explains here that this is the substance of all the revealed scriptures. One should understand this as it is given by the Supreme Person. You got it. Thus one will become intelligent and perfect in transcendental knowledge. In other words, by understanding this philosophy of the Supreme Person of Godhead and engaging in his transcendental service, everyone can become freed from all contaminations of the modes of material natures. We can become free from all contaminations. All we have to do is understand the philosophy and engage in service. So there are two things here. Not just simply engaging service without understanding philosophy, or not just simply understanding philosophy but not engaging in service. Both have to happen. And only when both happen, for those devotees who are engaging in understanding philosophy and naturally their desire or willingness to do service will keep increasing. Because bhajati means service. To please Krishna, to please Guru, to please Vaishnavas. Then everyone can become freed from all contaminations. I mean, this one can experience in life. This is something one can experience, that all the contaminations are going off. And just by this process, Shravanam and Seva. Shravanam Kirtanam. Basically, Kirtanam is Seva. Everything associated with Kirtanam is Seva. Devotional service is a process of spiritual understanding. See? Process of spiritual understanding, not some sentimentalism. Wherever devotional service exists, the material contamination cannot coexist. So, very, very powerful statement. If there is material contamination in us, basically it means that we've still not reached the pure stage of devotional service, because once we reach pure state of devotional service, there's no material contamination. Devotional service to the Lord and the Lord himself are one and the same, because they are spiritual. Devotional service takes place within the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. Again, very important. See, this I'll explain a bit. See, when we are engaging in service, actually we are engaging our material senses. We are using the material eyes, we are using material hands, we are using material legs, etc., etc. But actually, the service is not being done on the material platform. It is being carried on by the internal energy when it is being performed in purity. But if we are not doing in a pure manner, then it is just the use of the senses, and that is when the bhakti will be called as bhakti in mode of goodness, bhakti in mode of passion, bhakti in mode of ignorance. Right? So the point is, when we are using the same senses, but we are doing pure devotional service, automatically, which means that the senses are purified. Because the pure devotional service happens within the internal energy. Right? So other things are semblance of pure devotional service. So they are affected because they are affected by mode of passion, ignorance, goodness, etc. So they look like devotional service. That is why it's called Mishra Bhakti. It's Mishra. It's not like completely not there at all, but or Guni Bhuta. It's driven by the gunas, right? But pure devotional service takes place within the internal energy. The Lord is to be the sun, and ignorance is called darkness. Where the sun is present, there's no question of darkness. Therefore, whenever devotional service is present under the proper guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, there's no question of ignorance. But the whole problem is people are not willing to take proper guidance of the bona fide spiritual master. And nowadays, people just take initiation and they don't even hear from their guru before or after initiation. And it's a waste. It's a total scam just to take initiation like this, because we just, I mean, first thing is we'll not know what Guru wants. Second, we will not follow his instructions. We'll do Guru Ravagya. We will not make progress. We will create problems for Guru. So many things. Right? So proper guidance, our willingness to take guidance is very, very important in spiritual life. If we don't want to take guidance, then there's no point in getting initiated, because it's not the right thing to do. Everyone must take to this consciousness of Krishna and engage in devotional service to become intelligent and purified. See, when we engage in devotional service, what happens? One becomes intelligent. This also is a matter of experience. We can experience this. We become intelligent. Meaning Krishna is giving the intelligence. We become intelligent doesn't mean that suddenly our brain tissues have become like some IQ level suddenly increased. Yeah, it increased because Krishna gave intelligence. And we also get purified. So many times we see, when we are engaging in services, suddenly some Krishna, some thought saying that, okay, do it this way, right? And that is just Krishna giving intelligence. And then we become purified also. Unless one comes to the position of understanding Krishna and engages in devotional service, however intelligent he may be in the estimation of common man, is not perfectly intelligent. So this is perfect intelligence when we engage in devotional service and use our intelligence for Krishna. And this is the perfection of human life. See, Krishna has given us various propensities. We have to use those propensities in Krishna's service. And that way we'll also experience happiness, and Krishna will also be pleased, because Krishna has only given us that ability. And of course, I mean, higher than that, people call this dovetailing, but higher than that, higher platform than that is taking up something even if it is not our strength. Even if it is not our strength. Firmly believing that Krishna will give intelligence. Many people will keep saying, no, I'm not a preacher. I can't preach because, I've never spoke any time in my life. Yeah, but if Krishna wills, what can not happen? Anything can happen. That's a higher level of surrender. Okay, Krishna wants me to do this. Okay, I'll do. I've never done this before. No problem. I will do. Because I'm not doing it anyway. Krishna is giving me intelligence. He'll get it done for me. The word anagha, by which Arjuna is addressed, is significant. Anagha means a sinless one. Means that unless one is free from all sinful reactions, it is very difficult to understand Krishna. Because we won't be pure. We won't be pure, so we can't understand Krishna. One has to be completely pure to understand the pure. So unless we are free from sinful reactions, or at least to start with sinful actions, right? First we should stop sinful actions. Then reactions will automatically stop in course of time. See, Prabhupada is saying one has to become free from all contamination, all sinful activities. Then he can understand. Reactions will be there. It's not that if reactions are there, we cannot understand Krishna. But those reactions will also keep pulling us down, throwing us here, there, and we might get confused, bewildered, etc. But when reactions also stop, then we can perfectly understand Krishna, completely understand Krishna. But devotional service is so pure and potent that once one is engaged in devotional service, he automatically comes to the stage of sinlessness. If we follow devotional service properly, we will come to the stage of sinlessness. While one is performing devotional service in the association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. See, please note this. This is the heart of making progress in Krishna consciousness. Most important thing is one has to surmount his weakness of the heart. Hridaya Daurbalyam. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. We've already seen this. This is our first fall down, that we desire to lord it over material nature. Thus, one gives up the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. Second weakness of heart is that as one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature, he becomes attached to matter and possession of matter. The first is fall down. Second is attachment to matter. The problems of material existence are due to these weaknesses of the heart. Full stop. We are in this material world because we have this Hridaya Daurbalyam. In this chapter, the first 5 verses describe the process of freeing oneself from this weakness of heart, and the rest of the chapter discusses Purushottama Yoga. So we have to give up this weakness of heart. We discussed this, before first few verses, we discussed this weakness of heart. Right, so it's this weakness of heart that we have to give up. And how can we give up? We are very weak. How can we give up? Associate with the strong. We have to associate with the strong. If we are weak, we have to associate with the strong. Otherwise, how can we get that strength? But we have to give up this weakness of heart. If we don't give up this weakness of heart, then we'll be stuck in this material world. What is the point? What is the point? Why do we want to suffer? Are we crazy? Crazy. We're so crazy. We want to be stuck in this material world. All that is just because of weakness of heart. Now, what people tend to do is, oh, I have this weakness of heart. I will associate with people who have weakness of heart, similar weakness of heart, so that, same. so that nobody is going to disturb me. Like, I mean, I want to do some nonsense, and somebody will say, okay, it's fine, do it, because that person will also be doing it. And then both of us are falling into the same well. What is the use? That is not association. That is just cheating. I am cheating that person is cheating me. That's all. But the real association is association of pure devotees and in full Krishna consciousness, not part-time Krishna consciousness. And people don't want this. We see this. People don't want this. People don't want pure devotional service. People don't want full Krishna consciousness. Why? Because they're weak in heart. They're weak in heart, and if they're not sincere, that is the worst combination. You know, somebody is weak in heart and they're not sincere also. At least see, if you have weakness, all of us in material world have some kind of weakness. So even if we have weakness of heart, but we are at least sincere, we will definitely overcome the weakness of heart. Because then we'll surrender to Guru and strictly follow, knowing fully well that I have weakness of heart, knowing that, I'm stuck. So we have to give up this weakness of heart. Okay, so answer is association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness. Okay, so with this we complete 15th chapter. In fact, the future chapters actually don't require too much explanation, right? 16th, 17th, 18th don't require too much explanation because it's all very practical. Meaning, 16th is talking about demoniac qualities. We have to just recognize that we have these qualities, and we have to gradually just, as we do bhakti yoga, devotional service, these demoniac qualities will go. 17th and 18th are talking more about modes of material nature, how one has faith in different modes, etc., etc. Anyway, we will go over it, but I'm saying mostly the heart of the instructions, major instructions are over, and conclusion is there in the last part of the second half of the 18th chapter. But pretty much with this, actually, the major part of the instructions that one has to follow is kind of done. Last three chapters will give us more awareness about ourselves, how fallen we are, how stuck we are, and it should just give us more inspire motivation to do pure devotional service. Okay. If there are any questions, I can. Otherwise, we'll stop.
Prabhu, you said, it was mentioned that purpose of creation is to
Yeah,
go back home.
it's good to say, instead of saying you said Prabhupada said. If I've said myself, then you can say you said. It is not there in the purport. Anyway, go ahead.
Can you explain that, Prabhu? Like, purpose of creation is go back home.
Yeah, why is this creation? Why did Lord create this material world? He wants to trouble us? That he created this world and then he said, oh, it's like people, no, they start businesses and they, oh, see, I have this business. Now I have to sell this product. Okay, let me cheat somebody and get them to buy this product. That was not Lord's intention, right? Why did Lord create this material? Because we wanted to come here. But then he doesn't want us to come and rot here for eternity. So he has created punishment here. What is the idea of punishment? That one keeps going through punishment, and then say, oh, I don't think this is good. This is no enjoyment. There's no fun here. Okay, what should I do? Okay, turn towards scriptures, turn towards Krishna. Okay, then engage in devotion service, go back to Krishna. That is the whole idea of creation. Huh? So this creation is not made. This third chapter only Krishna. Sayagna pradasishva purovacha prajapati anen prashadishyadvam yo eso isho vo isto kamaduk. Krishna is saying that with creation, Yagna was created. Why Yagna? So that we please Vishnu. Why please Vishnu? Because we want to get out of this place. But if we don't understand that, and if we think that this is my playground, I want to enjoy here, it's just a toy playground. It's just it's like children want to drive. They say, I want to drive bike. And then parents will say, you want to drive bike? Okay, take this chotu bike, toy bike, play. So it's like that. We want to enjoy. Krishna is saying, okay, take this toy. Take this toy and try to enjoy. Hmm? So this place is not for our enjoyment. This place is for rectification. Unfortunately, like people are there in an asylum, but they're not taking treatment properly, right? So we are like that. We are like in this asylum, in this mad, what is that place for mad people? This is, and we don't want to take treatment. We want to become more mad. It's just crazy, isn't it? Hmm. So why would Lord create something to increase our craziness? He's created this material world to reduce our craziness. But we don't want to reduce our craziness. We want to simply increase it. And so we have to undergo so much of punishment till we actually come to that stage of realizing, saying that, oh, this is not for my enjoyment. Why am I simply acting so crazy? Why can't I just follow what Krishna is saying? And then enjoy life. See, everybody wants to enjoy life. Why take the wrong route of getting little happiness and so much punishment for the wrong route that we are taken? Mm. Spiritual world is Kathaganam, Natyam, Gamanam, Api, Vamshi, Priyasaki. We should remember this always. It's full of celebration. It's fun. It's real fun, pure fun. Right? That the Atma enjoys with Krishna. Pure fun. Bliss is the word. That bliss is not available in this material world. So this material world is there only for rectification. Dukhalayam, it's a fort, it's a jail. So the intention is to go back to God. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Anything else?
Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, why this Krishna has created this universe, entire universe, when there's
Same thing, no? Same question. This material world means universe.
Then Prabhuji here, then there is so much of trouble here. Then
No
that
punishment, no, because we are not following the rules. And that's what I just said. See, this material world is created for rectification. Jail, what is the point of jail? Why there's punishment inside jail? Because they want to rectify the prisoners. If you don't rectify the prisoners, then again they'll go out again do the same thing. So they want to make sure that they're rectified only, then they'll send out. And similarly, we are here, we broke Krishna's rules and came down from spiritual world. Now we have to be rectified. So that rectification is punishment. But people are so foolish that even after the punishment, we don't turn towards Krishna. We don't ask, why am I suffering? We will just keep trying to find out temporary solutions for our suffering, but we don't get to the root cause. Why am I suffering? Why can't I just be without suffering? So this is a jail. This is a punishment. This is a hospital. This is our disease that we want to enjoy independent of Krishna. So we are being treated now. Right? So treatment means disease means suffering. Jail means suffering. There's no happiness, no, in jail or in hospital. So this is our position.
thank you, Prabhuji.
See, these things should be completely very perfectly registered in our head, right? Let's not have any doubt on these basic topics, because otherwise we can't preach. We have to go and tell people saying that you are in a jail, you're in a hospital. Why don't you want to get out? They'll ask, oh, why are you saying like this? Why is it a jail? Why is it a hospital? You ask, okay, in hospital, what do people, are people having fun in hospital? No, they're suffering. So what are you doing? Are you happy in this material world? No, I'm suffering. Then what is the difference? Then it's a hospital. You want to remain in the hospital or you want to get out of the hospital? No, I want to remain in the hospital. One side I want to take medicine, on the other side I want to do nonsense stuff. Your disease will not get cured. What is the use of being in the hospital and doing such things? You're simply wasting time. So take treatment properly, get out of the material world, get out of the hospital. Simple. So we should talk to all the deceased people and tell them saying that why you want to remain in the hospital. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Stop.